Well, the EIB, the European Investment Bank, is moving to become the EU climate bank. And its ambition is to move forward to a world where we will have decarbonization, low carbon economy, and more money and more funding for green projects. So we consider ourselves that with the ambition that has been decided by our board last year to stop fossil fuel financing, to increase the size of projects that will be dedicated to climate from 25 to 50% of our activity by 2025, and to be 100% Paris aligned by end of 2020, we have set the standard for what we think is going to be extremely important for developing climate projects in Europe. That being said, even if we are a very big institution, everything will not be done through us, and actually most of it will have to require financing from other institutions, from other partners, from the private sector in particular, which will be absolutely decisive to get to the path on the green transition and on the carbon neutrality by 2050. That is the key objective of the EU Green Deal. I am absolutely convinced that innovation is a key part to reach the targets of climate. And let me say that because what we have seen and what we see in studies and what we know from experience is that innovation has contributed to significantly increase our climate objectives. Let me take as examples the Northvolt battery factory that we are financing in Sweden for batteries, the offshore wind farm park that we are financing in Portugal that is also going to be extremely important for diversifying the energy mix in Southern Europe. I mean, all these projects have a huge innovation component, which is also a risky one. And this is the role of EIB as the EU Climate Bank to finance them. I say that also because we know that if we want to reach the 2050 target of climate neutrality, there are innovations that we don't know yet what they are going to be. But we know that they are going to be extremely important to reach these targets. So we need to finance them, and to finance them from also very risky operation and early stage, such as the project that we have developed with the Gates Foundation, which is called the Breakthrough Energy Efficiency. And that is a fund that will finance very early stage projects and very interesting ones, actually. Those, those kind of projects that you don't know yet what they are going to be and what they are going to bring. But you know that this is the kind of project that they are going to bring to Europe a big plus in achieving the targets. And I say that finally, because what we see is that our competitors in China, in the US, are spending more on research and development in climate than we are in Europe. And that is a worry, and that is why this is a target and ambition for the bank. I mean, this is a key question for an institution like EIB that has been active for decades in other continents, and especially in Africa. What the crisis taught us actually very much in common with what we have done in Europe, based on actually what we learned from the previous crisis, which is act quickly, act with volumes, and do what you can to speed up disbursements. So that's what we have done actually in an initiative that has been set up with the European Commission that is called Team Europe. And we are a big partner in Team Europe so that we can increase the financing in terms of disbursement, in terms of repositioning the bank more in favor of its action in the least developed countries, especially in Africa. And in terms of sectors of activity, actually, like in Europe, what we have tried to finance in particular in Africa is two things. One, everything related to the health sector. So the health system to help countries deal with that. The health projects in terms of testing, in terms of vaccine research, that there are great projects also in Africa. And the second sector is the support to the real economy and in particular to SMEs. We have developed over the recent years significant contacts and projects with banks in Africa who are very active in the SME sector. And we are very pleased to be able to accelerate our support to them so that they can continue to support the real economy, because continental Africa has suffered a lot from the economic consequences of the crisis and not only the sanitary consequences. Now, having said that, there are things that we also see moving forward, the importance of the digital economy. This is also the case for Africa. We have actually launched a very interesting study that is on our website with UNDP on how can we do projects that are digital in Africa and that would bring great projects effectiveness in developing digital economy in Africa. And I think this is something that is extremely interesting and promising for us. And the second thing is green. I mean, like in Europe, the recovery in non-European countries where we have financing will have also to be green. And in particular, we'll have to continue to lend to sectors like renewable energy, energy efficiency. We do that actually in many countries. Just one example, in Kenya, we have financed a lot of projects in the wind sector, in the geothermal sector, in the energy efficiency. I mean, the solar off-grid is growing in Africa, and we need to support it because equity is not necessarily continuing to at the speed that it was before the crisis, of course. And these green projects have allowed for a country like Kenya to have around 70% of its energy that is green. I mean, this is the kind of example that show the way for us to what we see elsewhere in Africa. And the EIB is the EU Climate Bank. And for that, decisions have been taken last year, for which I am extremely grateful to my predecessor, VP Emma Navarro. She has played a very important role in moving forward the bank as a whole to these targets. Now, the board has decided that it would move forward on an ambitious agenda to stop projects that are fossil fuel, ambitious agenda to increase from 25 to 50% the share of climate action projects by 2025, and ambition to have our Paris-aligned activities by the end of 2020. And this ambition has to be reflected in an operational framework. And this is the ambition of the Climate Bank roadmap that we have started to discuss with our executive board. And we think that it is important to have this roadmap, to have this operational framework, to have more chances for the bank to deliver on its ambitious package of reforms and to deliver on its ambitious package of projects that we will need to implement to achieve the targets of the Climate Bank roadmap, of the bank, and actually contributing significantly to the EU Green Deal. So we are very, very pleased that we can present this Climate Bank roadmap, and that I hope it will be, after discussion with the board, endorsed as a way that is setting a standard for also other institutions and our colleagues in other multilateral banks to have a future that is more green and more low carbon.